Okay, fam, so we back at you again with my, I call it my church's chicken copycat recipe. Actually, out of the fast food chickens, yeah, Church's was my favorite, followed by Popeyes, and last go was would be KFC. And you can go at working overseas and everything. I would see these videos and stuff of copycat churches. You try it and it's like, nah, this is not it. This is not even close. And so I did some, I guess I would say, extensive research and trying to see what I could steal. And this is pretty much what I came up with. So with that, we're going to show you guys the ingredients. Don't get overwhelmed by it. We're going to break it down, but it's all good. So as you can see, I have carbonated water here. I've got sea salt, onion powder, garlic powder. This is my flour, cornmeal, cornstarch, kosher salt, and some MSG. Don't be overwhelmed by this because we're going to break it down. Actually, what we have to do, it calls for you have to brine your chicken. This is not anything that you can make, one day. You got to brine your chicken for just say 22 to 24 hours, okay? And so we're going to use the brine to make our brine. We're using one tablespoon of MSG. We've got 3 tablespoons of kosher salt, right? Okay, so the way that we're going to do this is we've got to get us some hot water. Let me get me some hot water so we can dissolve our salt and our MSG, right? And once we get that dissolved, we'll add a cup of cold water. I've got 2 bags, got my chicken separated in 2 bags, okay? And so we're gonna put 1 cup of cold water in each bag, and basically a cup of the hot or warm brine mix in each bag also. Your brine, basically, I always start out with a gallon. That one I know off the top of my head. It's for a gallon of water, it's a half a cup of kosher salt. And generally it calls for some brown sugar, but I don't do brown sugar because I don't like sweetness in my meat like that. So basically you cut your salt. Okay, if you're doing a half a gallon of water, so instead of a half a cup, it's a quarter of a cup. If you're doing half of that, okay, you're down to 2 tablespoons, but I use 3. And like I say, this chicken is, chicken is dense meat, so yeah, 3 tablespoons for a quart of water, total quart of water. And like I said, I use a tablespoon of MSG, and we're gonna get that together and get that brining for like 22 to 24 hours, and then we'll be ready to cook it from there. Okay, I think my water is hot here, so we're gonna get 2 cups of hot water, right? Yep, close enough for government work there. Okay, we got 2 cups of hot water. We're gonna put our 1 tablespoon of MSG in, 3 tablespoons of kosher salt, right? Get this mixed up. Takes a minute to dissolve this. And I started off doing brines. I would actually do it in a pot on the stove, and then I kind of went to this kettle, just getting a kettle and getting that hot boiling water in there, and just sitting here and kind of stir it until it dissolves, which is no big deal. I can't say which one is faster because you put a pot of water on the stove, you still got to wait on it to boil, where your kettle, you can kind of get it done ahead of time and kind of have it warm, and then so you heat it back up to boiling, and then you get that dissolved. You guys can pretty much see that's dissolved already, right? Okay, so what we're gonna do, I say we gotta get a cup of cold water first, because you don't want to put hot water on any kind of raw meat that you're brining. When you do a brine, you don't want to just throw, hot water onto it like that. It's not good for it. Well, matter of fact, it starts to cook it actually. That you don't want. You want it, basically uncooked, so you can actually get that brine going, right, without cooking it. So, okay, we got 2 cups in here, so I got 2 bags. So I need to measure out 1 cup in 1 bag. There we go. Close. Finish out the other cup in the other bag. Okay, we're good with that. Right? So we're going to seal these up. Get these in the fridge. Right? Try to get as much air out as I can. Okay, so this is going to the fridge for how long? 22 to 24 hours. That's right. So also in this process, something that I learned that I never knew before is that in order to get a really crispy chicken like you said, the fast food places, right? You're gonna have a batter, and you're gonna have your flour also. So basically from your flour, your batter, and your chicken, all of it should be refrigerated temp. It should be all cold. You don't want anything room temp or kind of warm, right? Okay, so we're done with these. We're gonna set these aside, right? Okay, so we're gonna start out next. What I'll do is make my batter. So with that, like I said, we're gonna start off with this cup of flour. Put in 1/3 cup of cornmeal, okay? 1/4 of a cup of corn starch, right? Put that in the sink. Okay, so now we're gonna mix this up, get this kind of blended together, right? Okay, from there we're gonna add our 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 2 teaspoons of salt, right? Notice might seem strange, but work with me. You'll see the finished product, right? And it's not like I said, if you don't believe me, just go on YouTube there and check out a CopyCat Church's fried chicken, and see what you see. It's not good, people. It is not good. Believe me, I tried it. And I'm like, nah, this is not even close, right? Okay, so we got that mixed. Now, here's the part. It's not hard or anything, but some recipes, like a beer batter recipe, will say, okay, for a cup of flour, you use a cup of water, right? That's my starting point. My starting point is a cup, but generally, for the consistency that you want your batter, I definitely go over a cup, okay? That right there is there's a little bit over a cup right there, but you'll see once I add it, it is probably not gonna be the consistency that I'm looking for. Yes, when you're doing a beer batter for a fish, that you're doing fish or either shrimp with, yeah, you want that batter kind of thick. However, for chicken, it should be kind of watery actually. I don't know, well, I don't know why it actually turns out like that, but yeah, you want a watery batter for chicken, just like I said, a cup or even a little over a cup, it's not going to do the trick. Because I've been doing this for a while, so I know generally, it's going to take more than that, pretty much a whole bottle just about it. But you just keep slowly adding it in until you get that consistency. Because like I say, what we're looking for is more of a loose, watery consistency and not a thick one like you would do in a beer batter, right? Okay, so we're going to keep mixing this up and adding water until I get this where I want it. Then we'll top this off and put this in the fridge and get to our last step, and then we'll be done for the day. You see, when you add your water, you got to kind of work it in there. If not, it'll splash all out on you. In which I do get impatient sometime and try to get to moving too quick and end up making a mess, but it is what it is. But this time we're going to try to keep it all in the bowl. And nope, we still do not have enough water. There again, I use Perrier, but you can use whichever brand you prefer. I've had some people that say, you can actually use just regular water. I'm not that adventurous. If something works for me, I stick with it. So I have not actually tried that to see if you'll get the same results with regular like tap water or bottled water. So I say with me, I'm going to say, okay, this is what I know that works. So this is what I stick with, right? And you'll see I'll get pretty much the consistency that I want. And once this thing's sitting, because like I said, this has got to be cold, so it's going to be refrigerated overnight also. And when you go and pull it out of the refrigerator, you're going to see it automatically thickens up also. So I may have to add some more water to this when we go to batter and flour and batter our chicken tomorrow to cook it, right? But right now, that's pretty much the consistency that you want. It's kind of, like I said, it's kind of watery, but that's what you want. You don't want anything thick, right? Okay, so we got that ready. We can set this aside. And you can see we used about a bottle, and not quite a half, almost a bottle and a half to make that batter. Now the last thing we're going to do, I say everything has got to be cold, right? So, and you might say, what brand of flour is this? King Arthur? This is actually a gluten-free flour. No, I normally use, the most common brands in the store. However, I'm actually cooking this for someone else. And the person has to have like is on a gluten-free diet. So this is why we're doing this today with actual gluten-free sugar. I got a chicken that I got a small pack of legs, a small pack of thighs, and a small pack of wingettes, but I generally add a decent amount of flour in my flouring bag because if you know anything about battering chicken, if you're not flouring chicken, if you're not using a batter, you don't use that much flour, but once you start flouring your chicken, put it in the batter, and back into the flour, it tends to use quite a bit of, soak up quite a bit of that flour, okay? Last thing we're gonna do, that's right, we're gonna give the breading, this flour, a little sea salt there to give that some flavor. We want our flavor to be from inside to out, outside to in, all the way down to the bone. That's why we're going to marinate our chicken or brine our chicken overnight. And we've got our flour here, we've got our batter. We're going to get all this stuff in the fridge, and then we're going to come back tomorrow and make it happen. Okay, guys, so we're back today. We had our chicken brining for 22 to 24 hours. And just like I was mentioning earlier in the process here, this is our batter, and I told you it has the tendency, once you refrigerate it, it tends to thickens, right? And that's a little bit too thick for what we need. So what do? Our water that we're using, we put it in the refrigerator also, because like I said, you want everything to be cold. So you want to slowly add more into that until you get that thin consistency, which is pretty much, that's what we're looking for, right about there. Right about there, guys. That's about what we want right there. That's it. We can work with that, right? Okay, so this is a simple process here. We've got our deep fryer on. It's not quite up to temp yet, but by the time, let me check. I take that back. It is up to temp. This process is not, it's a little bit different from probably what you're used to, because generally it was always said you fry your chicken at like 350 degrees. However, this process, you fry it at 335. And actually with dark meat, takes approximately about 20 minutes before it cooks. You can, if you're familiar with frying chicken on the deep fryer, once that chicken starts to float and come up to the top, you know that chicken is pretty much done. There again, with white meat, subtract about 5 minutes off of that, because white meat tends to cook faster. Okay, but we're going to continue with this process. So we've got our chicken out and we've strained it, right? And we've got it in our container over here to keep it cold. So what we're going to do, we're going to drop a couple pieces here in the flour, right? Understand that this recipe also works for chicken gizzards and chicken livers, right? And 3, yeah, we'll go with that one. 2. Now we're gonna keep those separate. I was about to mess up there. I was about to put, because I've got some wingettes, and I don't want to put the dark and the white meat together. So we're just gonna do it strictly dark meat. You can, but it's just a thing that you're gonna have to watch it, right? So definitely when you're doing this, hey, get you a good set of gloves. Keep you a towel close by. Try to keep your hands dry as possible when you're working with the flour, right? I've seen some people, they'll do the wet hand, wet hand, dry hand method. Basically, they'll use, say for instance, your right hand, call that your wet hand, right? When you're dealing with anything wet, the batter or whatever, you use your right hand. When it comes down to the dry side, you use your left hand, right? Okay, so we've got our batter right, getting the chicken in there. Highly recommend getting a pair of tongs. Works fine, comes in very handy when doing this, right? I could have used a bigger dish for this, would have made life a lot simpler for me, but my bad. As usual, we will adapt and overcome, right? So you see what I'm doing? We're getting that, we're sticking in the flour first, put it in the batter mix, let that kind of drain, put that back in the flour, make sure it's well covered, right? And you don't want to, you try not to, I learned this working at Popeyes, right? You try to keep your hands off of the chicken at all points in the process. Generally, if I'm at home, I've got some large Tupperware pans, yeah, you kind of waste flour, but it makes this process much more easier than trying to do it in a Ziploc bag like I'm having to do it since I'm on the road, right? But it still works out in the end, so we're good. You notice I keep moving my bag with the chicken and flour around because that way, if the chicken is covered with flour, it won't, stick together when you put that other piece in, that wet piece in there, right? And kind of stick itself together and cause one or two pieces not to be totally coated with the flour. But I say, yeah, the Ziploc bag method, it works. And so it'll get the job done. So what we want to do, right? So we've got our deep fryer here. And we're going to drop this in our deep fryer. Get this cooking, like I said, on 335. And we're going to set ourselves up a timer for approximately 20 minutes. And we should be good to go on this. I'll get you a better shot or close in on this deep fryer here, right? But yes, this is what I'm doing now. I'm just kind of layering my chicken in there. I'm doing 3 pieces at a time. You don't want to crowd it because then you have a problem with your temperature dropping fast on you and also the chicken not having room to cook like it should. So yeah, just take your time with it. We just dropped that in there. Look at a 20-minute timer, and we'll come back to show you what our results are. Okay, fam, so it's been about 20 minutes. I should say this also. Depends on what deep fryer you're using or what method you're using. You may have to cook yours a little longer. One sure way to tell is get you a little thermometer, stick it into the bone, and see what that internal temp. With chicken, as usual, you want to get that to 165. To be on the safe side, if you want it a little more well done, leave it in a little longer. Another indicator with chicken is also it'll kind of give you an indication when it's done if you're used to cooking chicken, because you can listen to it and you can tell by the sound. It starts to get quiet as far as you don't hear very much popping inside. That's telling you that your chicken, the juices have cooked out, and it's pretty much getting to the point where it's done. So with this right here, we're going to dump this one and get ready to do our second drop. So you guys can see that, right? And that is our homemade CopyCat Church's chicken. All right, we're going to finish cooking up the rest of it, and we'll be right back. Okay, fam, here we go. On this one, I'm going to say I think we can stick a fork in this because it is done. It is truly done, okay? A couple of tips. I won't say tips, but observations, okay? Because like I said, I think when you saw my ingredients, I said I was sharing this with some friends of mine that have the gluten restriction on their diet. So we use gluten-free flour for the chicken batter and flouring our chicken. Also, that macaroni and cheese is made with gluten-free noodles, right? It's not bad. I tasted it. It's not bad, but it is different. I will give you a heads up. So it is different, both the chicken and the flour. But it's still good to go. Believe me when I tell you that. Additionally, outside of that, another thing I wanted to remind you of, to be mindful of, okay, if you are just making a small drop, 3 or 4 pieces of chicken, you're cooking at the same time, you don't have to worry about this. But if you're cooking for the family, you got a small cooker like I do. So I think I ended up making a total of 3, 4, 5. I call them drops, is whenever I drop the basket in the oil, right? So after each drop, when you drop the basket, remember I said early on, You want to make sure that your chicken, your batter, and your flour is cold. That's one of the key things to this recipe. So after each drop, you want to make sure you put everything back in the fridge, right? Get you a timer going. You get about 3 minutes from your chicken being done. I will jump in the refrigerator, pull my stuff back out, get my next drop ready. That way you can keep it moving, right? With that, and we're gonna wrap this up, people, and happy eating and happy cooking. Thanks for watching my video, man. Have a good day.